Welcome in, guys, and this is the anticipated mock draft rounds 1 to 3. So I've got I've done all the 1s to 3. I'm not doing rounds 4 and 5 and 7 or whatever, because again I'll be here for far too long to talk about everybody in this draft class. I'm only doing rounds 1 to 3. So again, the last couple of mock drafts I've done on the channel, I've only just stuck to round 1 and just talked about my explanations behind my picks to round 1. So I'm going to I'm going to talk about a couple of things from round 1 and round 2 and 3. So round 1, my first draft pick is Cam Ward. Now, you're looking at this quarterback draft class as I've got to understand of the quarterback class. Cam Ward, for what I've seen, I've done a scout report on him. He is really probably going to be QB1 in this draft. So I've got him going to Tennessee. You're looking at the Tennessee Titans. They cannot go another year with Will Levis being the starting quarterback. You'd only be, again, if they don't go for Cam Ward at 1, and they maybe go for Shedeur Sanders at 1. But in my opinion, they could go for Shedeur Sanders if they wanted to, but I don't see Shedeur going to. I just don't see him going to Tennessee. I don't see him going to the Tennessee market. So for this one, I went for Cam Ward from Miami. Then for the skid marks, who are number 2 in the draft. First round, I've got them going for Abdul Carter. Now again, you could go between Abdul Carter or Nick Sorton, but I'm gonna stick with Abdul Carter. I think Abdul Carter is probably the better out of the two that you could go for, because again in my round 2, I'll talk about why we're on the skid marks. For round 2, I have them drafting Jalen Milroe from Alabama. I scouted him a couple of days ago. I did say, I think because I've given my thoughts on Jalen Milroe, he's definitely a second round pick in my opinion, obviously because I've got him on the draft board. But that's my pick for this given. So obviously round 2. Round 1, obviously, I go for defensive player, going fixing the defensive line, and then for round 1, fixing the defensive line. Then round 2, getting yourself a quarterback. You have to leave this draft with a quarterback. If you're the Cleveland Browns. Now again, if Cam Ward is still on the board, you can go for Cam Ward, but I don't see, again, like I said, Jackson Dart could go at round 2 as well. And then we go to let's talk about the Lions, because again, that's my team. That's what I'm covering on the channel. For the Lions, we do need to work on the edge. That's one position the defensive line, I've discussed about it in really big depth here. I've done a video on what the Lions need going into this draft and free agency this offseason. We have to address the offensive line, the defensive line, more weapons on the wide receiver and tight end side of things, but especially in both sides of the trenches. But again, it's not that, and a lot of people think, you need to address this position, you need to address positions. No, that is the right thing. You do need to address positions. Like again, looking at Tennessee Titans, they need to address quarterback, but you've got to draft who's best on the board. So again, if Nick Sorton, who I've got here for the Lions, if he's still on the board at 28, and now again, I'm doing this without no trades. I've done a mock draft a while ago with the trades, just for round 1, but I've done no trades for either round 1 or no trades for either teams. The teams are going to stay the exact same as they are right now. So again, take the trades out of this. They're just going to be the exact same thing. But again, if we still are at 28 in the draft, and we haven't moved, if you haven't traded away or traded up for a draft pick, Then I've drafted Nick Sorton from Texas A&M. Again, him and Abdul Carter really have impressed me when I've watched them and scouted them on tape. A couple of going into round 3, which I want to look at. Round 3. Round 3, I have. But you look at the Giants. The Giants need to look at working on that defensive line as well. Now the Giants have Justin Fields at quarterback, so I've not taken a quarterback in the mock draft. So for this, I have in the 3rd round, they have a 65th pick in the 3rd round. I have them drafting Jalen Walker, linebacker from Georgia. People are gonna say, oh, maybe he's a bit too low down on the draft board, but I have him here at 65, 3rd overall. And then you're looking at let's go to I've got Trey Amos, who I talked about a couple of days ago. I have him drafted in the 2nd round. You're looking at especially the Bills and under Sean McDermott. The one thing that always happens in the off season is the good when it comes to regular season football and getting the job done in the AFC East and winning their division. But when it comes to playoff time, and they've been to the last 2 championship games in 5 years, they always choke on that defense side of the ball, the side of the ball which Sean McDermott actually knows about, and he's a specialist at that side of the ball, and this is where they need to address. Or if they don't address it, or if he's still on the board this late, then go for Trey Amos, cornerback from Ole Miss. If he's still on the board at 62, go for him. You need to address quarterback. It has to be an addition you need to address if you're the Bills. Then I'm gonna go back, and then go back to this. Again, a couple from the, and then for the 1st round for the Raiders, I have Travis Hunter. Again, people in some other mock drafts have put him as a wide receiver. Now, again, wide receiver, he can play in that position. But again, I've got him as a cornerback here, and I'm going to go to the Raiders. 6 on the board, 6 overall in the 1st round. Yeah, just the Raiders market, working on the Pete Carroll. I guess that could be a thing. Working on the Pete Carroll, and especially you're looking at the Raiders and not gonna really go for quarterback, especially if they got Geno Smith, and I don't see if they go for a quarterback. Do you think that Pete Carroll's gonna get the best out of a Shedeur Sanders or a Jackson Dark or Jalen Monroe, or you know what I mean? I just don't see it happening. So they have Geno Smith. They aren't going to go for a quarterback. So I've gone for Travis Hunter, and then for the man I've mentioned, Shedeur Sanders. I have him drafted 9th overall. Yeah, I've got him down a couple of picks here. Still in the top 10, but I've gone down a bit on my draft board, especially from the other quarterbacks I've been watching recently. I think I've got him down a bit on the old draft board. But yeah, 9th overall in the 1st round, and I've got him going to the Saints on the Kellen Moore. I think that would be a good fit for Shedeur Sanders. You're looking at the Saints and their division with the Panthers and the Bucks, and in that division, they really they're in a weaker division. So Shedeur Sanders can he can get away with a couple of his flaws that he has, and he's going to be working under a head coach in Kellen Moore, who again has worked under who has developed a young quarterback in a Jalen Hurts, who has got to a Super Bowl with Jalen Hurts and won a Super Bowl with Jalen Hurts last season in 2024. And again, for the Saints, they haven't had franchise quarterbacks since Drew Brees 5 years ago. I know that they've had Derek Carr, who's mid. They've had Spencer Rattler, who got drafted last year. They've had Aiden O'Connell. Not Aiden O'Connell, but they've had Spencer Rattler. They've had Derek Carr. They've tried their best at trying to fill that quarterback position. Get yourself a quarterback. Get yourself Shedeur Sanders at 9. Build around him. Again, you could trade up at maybe 13 if you wanted to. Trade up at 13 and get yourself an offensive line. Maybe you get yourself like a Kelvin Banks Jr. Or you go for like a T-Mac McMillan. You go for a T-Mac McMillan. Maybe you trade up for him, and then he helps Shedeur Sanders. And then kind of really to round off this draft, I have, and then the other I have Caleb Johnson going to the Chargers to work on the Jim Harbaugh from Iowa. I have TJ Sanders getting drafted to the Falcons again, especially with the Falcons having they definitely need to work on that trenches on the defensive line side of things, especially with defensive line head coach and Raheem Morris. And then like you're looking at for the lines as well, I was drafting Jalen Royals, wide receiver from Utah, and then a couple of other quarterbacks. I have Tyler Schlesinger from Louisville getting drafted to the Rams. Now, again, he's 25. I don't think there's much upside to his potential. He's going to be 25 when the NFL season starts. But I have him drafted as a late 3rd round pick. And then Will Howard, who I did scout a number of weeks ago. I have him drafted to Seattle at 92. So there's my picks. So that is my real. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have all the 1st round, 2nd round, and 3rd round picks down in the description box. You can read them. Give you my thoughts on what do you think about this whole mock draft for this year. Again, it's not the best draft class, but there's again a couple of guys in there that could be big stars again, like Cam Wood, like Shedeur Sanders, like Travis Hunter, Nick Thornton. I have Tyler Booker going to the 49ers. So yeah, again, it depends like who's best on the board, and I had Ashton Jeanty going to the Patriots, and because again, if you're the Patriots, the name of the game is you're going to get some weapons around Drake May. But again, if Ashton Jeanty's on the board, he's the best running back in this draft class by a fucking mile. And if he's still on the board, if he's on the board early on, and if it lands to the Patriots or if it lands to the Bears, then pick him up, because again, he'd be great in a Ben Johnson system. It'd be interesting to see what he can do in a Josh McDaniel kind of system, but either or, you've got to pick up the best player available in the draft. That's what I'm just saying here. So again, it's not about, oh my god, you didn't get this position right, you didn't get that position right. So again, you're filling spots on the roster. Again, Ashton Jeanty's a kind of plug and play position. You can plug and play him wherever. But again, he's a position that you could have him in. You could help a young quarterback like Drake May, or if you're somebody like the Tennessee Titans and you've got your finger on the pulse, you can have